Once again, let's take a look at what's happening right now in Beirut. I think you can, especially on the left-hand side of your screen there, see what I think is smoke in the skies. And certainly in the last, 25 minutes or so, we heard explosions there. Israel says it is in the midst of an extensive wave of strikes on Lebanon targeting Hezbollah, which has also been firing strikes into northern Israel. And let's take you to Lebanon now. Our Susan Ormiston is in Beirut. Susan, Israel says it's expanding its attacks in the region. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, well, we've certainly been seeing that tonight. There was, as you said, 2 big blasts in the last half hour, the loudest we've heard since this war began. We've put on our PPE for the first time, just for precaution. There's a lot of sirens behind me trying to get up to those southern suburbs where the airstrikes have been going on all evening, starting about 9 p.m. local, with a wave of consecutive airstrikes by the IDF into that area. And that was a response, Ian, to Hezbollah rockets fired into northern Israel earlier this evening. Hezbollah says it sent dozens of rockets. In fact, others are saying it was more than 100. And we're now hearing from Iran's Revolutionary Guard that this was a joint operation between Iran and Hezbollah to target Israel, the first time since this war began, this joint operation. So the pace of this airstrike campaign is really heating up. And we will see tomorrow what exactly the damage was in the southern suburbs. But louder than we've heard, more frequent. IDF had warned this evening that they would be continuing an extensive airstrike campaign. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, so on the screen right now, we're seeing some footage from a little earlier this morning of strikes, just, ferocious explosions. And it is quite something to think that those blurry lights behind you are emergency crews who are responding to some of those strikes. Now, you have managed to get closer to some of the areas that have been hit, and you've spoken to people in those places. What did you see?
Let me set up the geography here. There's Beirut, central Beirut, where we are, the southern suburbs, which has been hit repeatedly. There's the southern part of Lebanon, which we're not able to get to. And there's Bekaa Valley. That's where we were today, about an hour and a half out of Beirut. And again, there were attacks there this morning, airstrikes on what Israel says are Hezbollah infrastructure and command quarters. We don't know exactly what was in these areas. We saw a lot of demolished buildings, a car repair shop, a small cement block factory where Syrians were working. And in that particular location, 8 people were killed, including 4 children. We talked to a man who was just across the street saying it was a huge blast, that his children were crying, they were sleeping, they were woken up, and that it was a miracle that the children weren't out playing. It happened about 8:30 this morning. The casualty rate in this country is climbing, over 600 people dead now in just over 10 days of war. So this is really starting to impact the city and the country. People are getting fed up with the closure of roads. Schools are closed. The constant sound of air attacks, which is increasing, Ian, and the Lebanese government seems powerless to stop Hezbollah from launching its rocket campaign or talk to Israel directly. It made overtures to do that, which so far have been rejected. So the threat of this gaining pace and expanding is proving to happen here in Lebanon, and people don't know where it's going to go, how long it will last, or what the final cost will be.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I just want to quickly ask you a follow-up question before I let you go. And it has to do with geography. It's a 2-part question. First of all, those lights that are over your right shoulder, what area is that? And then secondly, how safe are you where you are right now?
So the area over here that you can see far in the distance where those emergency vehicles are is along a street around the bay, sort of along the seaside there. And then there's a series of high rises, and behind there I can see smoke and dull lights. And I could smell the explosions earlier this night. There were so many in that area all at once. So that's just beyond the high rises. But what's been interesting, Ian, is twice now, since we've been here since Saturday night, there have been air attacks on specific buildings in the center of Beirut, where we are in a hotel, targeted now. They're targeted at people who are in apartments or hotel rooms. So there's very much damage in one area, but not all around. We don't know what the effect of the strikes were tonight. They were definitely bigger munitions and in more places and more frequent. So we expect that there will be quite a bit of destruction in those southern suburbs. One other thing that's worth noting is that there are no sirens here that warn you of incoming, but there is a system that is usually followed. The IDF gives some notice to people to evacuate, what's called red zones, to get out, to take care and be safe out of the areas. Whether they follow that or not, sometimes they don't. But that's the system of allowing people to get out. Some people stay in their homes, putting themselves at risk. And it is a system, though, that does minimize the number of civilian casualties, although, as we're seeing with over 600 dead now, there's definitely a human cost here.
Well, as always, terrific having your reporting, Susan. Stay safe. Thank you very much.